This is project 3, video number 3, the one in which we do the documentation. I want to try to clean one thing up before we move on. Remember, if I ran this, and that's probably a bad example because there's so many of them. I'm going to run it with 5 here. And then I ran it with 4. It would just add new lines to the graph that I already had. So I want to see if I can clear that. I think the command is CLF for clear figure. So I'm just going to try typing that in at the MATLAB level, CLF. Then take a look at the figure, and sure enough it clears it. So then if I were to run it with 4, it would just have the right number. So I'll put CLF in my code, I think before I turn the axis off, clear the figure. I don't know if it stands for clear figure, but it's not to me. I call that the palette, the drawing board, drawing window. And I should. I don't think this is self-explanatory. Makes it omit axis tick marks and tick labels. You know how the tick marks are usually labeled with values. We'll say to omit. So that's on there, to omit that. It's just a phrase. Alrighty, draw the box. And then this is percent draw line for central max. Alright, let's run it since I did make an actual change there. Okay, there it is with the most recent run, which was 4, so I'll try it with 5 and see if it looks cleaner, if it looks like it added a bunch. Actually, I'll go down to 3. So it should be even fewer lines there with slit spacing, just 3 micrometers, 3 times 10 to the minus 6 meters. So let's take a look at it. And yeah, as it turns out, under those circumstances, you just get 2 maxima. Well, the highest order max is m is equal to 2. Obviously, we get 5 maxima altogether. And then if I go back up to 5 micrometers. So yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, which I think is what we were getting before. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I know what I was using was 660 originally. Oops. And we were getting 1, 2, 3. That's when I did the test on. So yeah, it is really clearing out the old figures. So if your user happens to run it twice, then it's not going to mess things up. If they run it twice without, with 2 different sets of values for wavelength and slit spacing, it's not going to mess things up. Okay, I do think I want to see if we really need to add any more to tell the reader what is going on. So lambda in meters, that's obvious that I'm converting these things to meters. I already explained what that did. Data max, angle between straight ahead. Let's go with the percent sign so as a comment. From the mask, from the slits, I think it's to corner of box. And I'll put that over there. That's pretty obvious. M lambda over D with M is equal to 1. I think that's clear too. Then as long as this is less than the max value of the sign, which we calculated up there, calculate the angle, figure out where it goes on the graph, plot it on the graph. Okay, I think it's pretty clear what we're doing in there. So we'll write the overall description of what the function does. This should really start on the very next line after the function, so that in MATLAB you can see that description in the box. It goes right down here. It's in this region right here, so if you make that big enough, you get to see the description of the function if you start it as a comment on the very next line after the function line. So I'm going to go ahead and write what it does. Make sure you write this part in your own words. Don't just copy mine. Okay, I got that written up. Now we need input and output variables. Alright, at this point, I think I have to, I gotta remember to say who it's by. And then I think I want to go through the checklist. So, pencil and paper part must have these parts: algebraic solution leading up to the algorithm, including the appropriate diagrams for each. So I had diagrams and formulas, and it did lead up to my algorithm, which is my code outline. So I even had a check on there. For each function, an outline of the steps of the program. So the code outline is that outline of the steps. So for the program part, point for a reasonable attempt. It's got to consist of more than one or more .m files. Program that works properly. Let's actually make sure this thing is still working properly. So yeah, it seems to be doing what it's supposed to do. Your axes must be properly titled. We don't have any graphs per se, so that doesn't apply here. Your code must be documented. Comment stating what the function does. I see. I did have them wrapped already. So I definitely have that in there. Function interference max creates a diagram of the lines of interference. Too many interferences there. Interference between interference and interference. For the case of box with double slit in the middle of one side of the box, illuminated normally from outside the box with light of wavelength lambda, the side of the box opposite the double slit. Is the screen and only lines of interference magnitude that hit the screen are drawn by Jeffrey Schneck. If it takes arguments, what each argument is, that's them. I think I should say percent there are if it returns one or more variables, say what it does, and I just said it returns nothing. For the case of a function that includes segments that are not self-explanatory, I felt there were some of those this time. You know what CLF is, not everybody knows that. Axis off, why would anybody put that in there? And then this line diagram, I don't think it's that obvious that we're drawing the box. There might actually be, especially to somebody that knows, there might be a command called square, for instance, that we could have used for that. It would only involved 2 sets of coordinates rather than 5, I think I got there. But, okay, I think I got the part that, yeah, I checked on that. You must provide attribution. Usually my attribution is none, but I did, this time I had to look something up. I think that's all I looked up for this. Yeah, I was guessing at CLF, but that worked. And there were a couple of things I used trial and error for, but didn't really look them up, figured them out by trial and error. I guess it helped that I searched on arcsin, A-R-C-S-I-N, to find out that didn't work, and then tried asine, but we're okay. For attribution-wise, alright, and then the due date. So, I would say, I've got this thing running. This is working. And last quick look at the code, and we've gone through the checklist, so I think I'm in good shape. I have saved it since the last time I changed it. Let's make sure. Sometimes even when you type it in comments, something goes haywire, and it's still working for that was the initial trial that I tried. And if I make that 30 of them there, 30 wide, so that's a pretty big slit spacing apparently. Should make it so that I get a whole, let's see, the wider you make it, the tighter the grouping, so we get quite a few of them. So let's try that. Yep, we get a lot of them. If I make it too narrow, I would expect eventually I can make it so I only get the central max. So let's see what we got there. Yeah, all we've got is the central max there. And but the program still seems to have worked, is the point. So I go 1.0 micrometers, still only getting the central max. Go try 2. goes right out to there. If I make it a little bit smaller than that, I'll call it 1.75 or 1.7. It's getting further out. So yeah, it seems to be working the way it's supposed to be. So even in cases where you know, I just get the central max, and I think I already proved. Now if we got 50 of them on there, well, not 50 of them on there, but if I got a slit spacing of 50 times 10 to the minus 6 meters, apparently that's pretty big because I got so many of them that it just fills it up. Well, it's not completely filling it up there, so, but certainly with 500 on the resolution that we got, it completely fills it up, and it does go right out to the angle where it's supposed to. So yeah, I'd say it's still working. So I'm going to go ahead and call that a wrap for project 3, video number 3, the one in which we do the documentation and final touches.